And later we'll also be finding out why Queen guitarist Brian May has turned investigative reporter.
Yes, as he well knows, there's just an hour and a half to go before his wife, Anita Dobson, and half of the dancers perform for the very first time.
Brian May is, of course, one of our most successful musicians, but when he was last here, he told us that he'd rather be remembered for his love of animals than music.
Yeah, one of Brian's great passions is the protection of badgers. He's worried about the proposed cull, which the government says is needed to protect cattle from TB, so we asked him to turn reporter for the day.
So here we are in the beautiful English countryside, and how peaceful it looks. But in fact, there is a war going on out here, and it's a war between people who want to protect their cattle from disease and people who want to protect wildlife.
It is costing close on £100 million. Badger culling is a proposal as part of a wider control programme for bovine TB, which is a very serious disease of cattle in many parts of England.
I think the notion that we could actually eliminate the disease by culling badgers is completely misguided.
The government is about to licence the killing of hundreds of thousands of badgers in an attempt to control bovine TB. Are they justified? TB is a disease caught by breathing in airborne droplets from an infected animal. Right now, farmers have to kill any cow that's tested positive for TB to try to control the spread of the disease, and that's why they're upset. For years, the finger of suspicion has been pointed at badgers. So why am I here? Because I believe animals have feelings as we do, and I work to try to protect our wildlife. If the two sides who are warring at the moment can actually pool their resources, there is a chance of beating the disease, which is bovine TB, in cattle and in badgers. Badgers live in a network of tunnels called a Sept, which can be hundreds of years old. They're a protected species. Jan Rowe is the spokesman for bovine TB for the National Farmers Union and runs a dairy farm in Gloucestershire in the middle of a TB hotspot. So you have how many Septs in the neighbourhood, Jan?
We probably have 5 main Septs on this farm that affect us. This is probably one of the entrance holes here, and there's a whole lot more back up in the bushes up there.
So in 1971, that's the time when a badger was first found on a farm with TB.
It began at that point. It appeared TB had gone from the cattle into the badgers. That has to be the assumption you make. But it was only since it came up the Cotswold Escarpment towards us in badgers, and we saw it in the badgers on this farm before it got into the cattle. One year, 3 different badgers we'd found dead had TB, and then the next time we had a TB test, which was about 6 months later, bang, we went down with it, and we've been going down ever since.
You're assuming that badgers are the main problem. A lot of people would say it's more cow to cow than badger to cow.
It is only when you get cattle living alongside the endemically infected badger populations that you get this persistent recurrent TB.
The transmission route from badgers to cattle has not been proven.
Animal welfare group, the Badger Trust, reject the theory that badgers are the main cause of transmission of the disease. They believe infected cattle slip through the TB testing and infect the rest of the herd.
The so-called skin test that they use to test cattle at the moment is at best only 80% accurate. So we hear this figure from the farmers about 25,000 cattle being slaughtered last year in England alone, and we feel as sorry about that as we do as the death of badgers. But what that means is that there are over 6,000 infected cattle left in the national herd. That's the single biggest problem.
A 10-year scientific study concluded that culling badgers cannot make any significant difference. So why are farmers still pushing for a cull?
What I'm saying now is that we have past evidence here that it makes a very big difference. The proposed culling areas we're talking about are going to be much, much bigger. We're going to look very carefully at the boundaries of those culling areas. We're talking about culling badgers in close proximity to cattle in the southwest of the country, where we know we have a problem.
If culling is not the right solution, what is the solution?
We very strongly within Badger Trust believe in vaccination both for cattle and for badgers.
Why are you rejecting vaccination?
It is colossally expensive to use, and it's just totally unproven as to whether it actually reduces the disease enough in badgers to stop this spill back into cattle. You and I think, strongly believe that vaccination in the long run will be the answer to this disease, and it'll probably be vaccination in cattle. But we're many years away from that being allowed and effective. We're going to be heading towards 40,000 cattle killed again this year. And we cannot live with it like this any longer. We've got to do something about it.
What would it take to get you to sit down at a table with people like the Badger Trust?
I'm quite happy, and I'm sure my NFU colleagues would be quite happy to sit down and talk to the Badger Trust and try and really get a better understanding of where they're coming from.
And would you be amenable to that?
Certainly Badger Trust would be quite amenable to any discussion that might move things forward.
These talks are now going ahead, but we need them to succeed in finding some new answers, because if they don't, we'll soon be looking at slaughter of our wildlife on a huge scale.
And Brian joins us now. So Brian, what did you hope to achieve then by making this film for us?
Well, first of all, awareness, because I still meet people in the street who go, what, badgers? Is there something going on? I just wanted people to know that there is this terrible crisis, and we are looking at losing thousands and thousands of badgers, a lot of whom will be healthy, in fact, probably most of whom would be healthy. But the other thing was, I was trying in this film, I kind of rejected the idea that we should be fighting the farmers. A lot of people think that would be the way to go, you know, you should boycott the farmers and don't drink milk, etc. I thought from the beginning it was a really bad idea, and I thought the way to conquer this disease is to team up with the farmers and try and help them solve their problem.
And did your views change at all when you met up with Jan there, hearing his side?
I kind of knew the script, in a sense. You know, both sides are very entrenched in the way they tell the story, so I kind of knew what he was going to say. I mean, Jan's great, and I think he tells his story very well, and I have great sympathy for him and the farmers who are going through this. But my contention is that culling is not the way to go, particularly the cull which has been proposed by the government at the moment.
It was a great achievement there. We heard in the film that, you know, both sides are prepared to talk there. But what do you see as the solution? Well,
I'm very excited about the fact that they're going to talk. They're actually going to be in the same room together, and I will be there. I hope to see some thinking outside the box. I think both sides have to rethink. You know,
such as?
Rethink is important. Well, vaccination is what I would like to see, you know, and vaccination is expensive, but it shouldn't be about money. It should be about ethics. It should be about whether we should be killing lots of healthy animals, or should we be solving our business problems another way. There are other things. I get very unpopular when I start to say what else could happen. But I mean, for instance, if I was a farmer and I was bringing up my cows in a particular place where I knew they were going to get sick, I would stop doing it. I would do it someplace else. You know, you can do it in East Anglia. You know, this is an unpopular view.
Move your farm.
Well, it means I mean, I've uprooted myself plenty of times, but I know that's a hard thing to do. Or else you can farm something different, let somebody else farm the animals somewhere else. There are ways around this. It's not just culling that'll work. And culling is a very risky business. All the culls that have been done in the past have actually made the problem worse. So you're taking a terrible risk by culling.
But I mean, you know, you've got farmers that have been on the land for generations. You know, their herds have been built up over summer. We've heard the facts there. 25,000, you know, culled last year, and it's costing the taxpayer what, 100
Well, we
million
are subsidising this, and something has to be done. That's where we agree. What I'm hoping is that there will be enough common ground if the two sides really talk together, that some kind of plan can be evolved which makes more sense and doesn't involve killing and killing and killing, because the killing will go on forever.
Well, thanks so much for that report.
Thanks for making it.
Thank you.
But in other news...
Now we're going to talk strictly.
It's a big night for your wife, of course, Anita Dobson.
Huge night for my missus.
She is dancing tonight on Strictly. How's she feeling? How's she been at home over the last 3 weeks?
She's... Oh, well, it's hell.
She is training so hard.
She is in boot camp, but she loves it. I have never seen that lady so happy. She loves every single minute. She doesn't want to win. She just wants to stay in long enough so she can do the training. She adores it. She likes every aspect of it. You know, the dressing up, the makeup. She's got a spray tan, for God's sake. I thought I'd see. She's a serious Shakespearean actress, you know.
I think we've got a vaccination programme for dancers as well, actually.
And you're coming down to this later, Brian, aren't you?
Thank you ever so much for all the photos that you're sending in.
I will be there tonight. I will be supporting.
Indeed. We do know that it's not sunny everywhere, so just send us some pictures of you in the rain as well. Anyway.
Thanks, Rory and Brian. Remember, Strictly starts tonight at 9 p.m. on BBC One.
Tonight! Chris is going to be back next Friday. We will see you on Monday. Bye-bye. Have a great week.
Bye.
All the best.